Y'all might not like what I have to say, but I do not care. I have a take that I'm about to put out there online on YouTube that I'm the most confident in. So, as everyone knows, Dakota Ditcheva just beat Sumiko Inaba. That was like her second decision win out of her 15 career wins. She's got like 13 finishes in total. I think 13 KOs. Maybe she has a sub in there. I'm not quite sure. But in my last video I made about her back in December, where I talked about how does she do in the UFC? How does she fare? Back then, I knew like very little about Dakota. All I knew about her was her physical attributes, and I saw a highlight of her beating up Tyler Santos. And I went based off that. I went in blind. I favored her to beat almost everyone on the UFC roster. I think I said her and Shevchenko was 50-50, or I gave the slight edge to Shevchenko, but that's the fight I'm here to talk about right now. Dakota Ditcheva, after beating Sumiko Inaba, had just announced that, unfortunately, she re-signed with the PFL. So we gotta wait another 3 more years, okay? 3 more years until we see her in the UFC, in hopes that she doesn't re-sign by 2028. Hopefully by 2028, PFL will be 6 feet under. Or maybe, hopefully, sooner than later, maybe the UFC will do another trade and they'll trade someone worth trading for Dakota. The last trade they did wasn't worth it, trading Mighty Mouse for Ben Askren. Heal up, Ben. I know Ben's situation. Not trying to shade him. But I believe that Dakota may have just bought Valentina Shevchenko extra time. And I don't think Val has much time left in this sport. I don't think Valentina Shevchenko is going to be a champion by the time Dakota comes to the UFC. She might not even be fighting by the time Dakota comes to the UFC. But if she is, I don't think she'll be champion. Okay, I don't think Valentina is going to be champion 3 years from now. I don't think she's going to be champion by the end of 2026. Her time as champion in this sport, it will expire soon. If she doesn't retire soon, the sport's going to retire her. But why I believe that Ditcheva may have bought Valentina's time, and Val may just be lucky, because who knows how much longer Val's going to fight. She says she wants to keep going. Nunes said the same thing and then retired out of nowhere, although it wasn't a big surprise, and I know she's coming back, but Valentina could retire after her next career win, or in like 2 fights from now, right? But if Dakota Ditcheva was here, if the UFC would have actually been able to trade Merab for Dakota last year like they tried to, or if Dakota had just given up on the PFL and decided to come to the UFC this year, I guarantee you she would get one win easily against one of these top 5 flyweights, get fast-tracked to a title shot, and she'd be booked to fight Valentina. And I think that she would beat Valentina Shevchenko. And not only do I think she beats Valentina, I think that she is Valentina Shevchenko's kryptonite. And Val is lucky that she may never get to face her, okay? Now look, there's other tough girls on the roster, in the women's flyweight division, and there's Weili who might move up. But if you look at these rankings and you got Natalia, Manin, Val already beat her, but it was a tough fight. It took Val 2 tries to finally beat Grasso, but she did. She hadn't fought Aaron yet. She hadn't fought Jazz Divisius yet. She hasn't fought Macy yet. But I still think Valentina Shevchenko beats most of these girls, even with her aging and declining like ever so slightly. The one person, other than Weili, on a potential move up that I think could beat her currently on the UFC roster is Natalia Silva. But even that is not a given. I cannot confidently say Natalia is a kryptonite to Shevchenko. Like, I think she can beat her. I think if her takedown offense holds up, she can beat her on the feet, but Valentina Shevchenko is a great striker also. You know, Val might be that striker, or she might have the perfect striking style to have the answers for someone like Natalia, or, you know, vice versa. That's why that fight's 50-50 to me. I don't have a prediction. But someone like Ditcheva, I think if she was in the UFC right now, she would be the chosen one to beat Val. And not only do I think she beats Val, because Grasso beat Val, but unfortunately she doesn't have that style that's sustainable for beating Shevchenko more than once across multiple different fights. She did it the first time after losing 3 rounds to finish Val in the 4th. Took Val to a split draw the second time, although I thought she won. It was a draw, whatever. Third fight, Grasso gets absolutely owned by Val, who eventually adapted to Grasso and figured her out, and Grasso had a bit of burnout, and Grasso was fresh out of tricks to beat the bullet, right? Valentina was always the better fighter than Alexa Grasso, as much as it pains me to say, because Alexa is my girl. I hate to go against her, but I think Val was always the better fighter. I just think that Grasso caught Val at a point in time where she was losing a bit of hunger, where she was slipping a little bit. She had just had that iffy performance against Tyla. Grasso was at the peak of her hunger, right? So the stars just perfectly aligned. The universe allowed for Grasso to beat her that one time, but not twice and not thrice, unfortunately, right? Because that loss to Grasso only awoken something in Valentina, and it brought back her motivation to do what she did and to stay on top a little bit longer. But I think a Dakota Ditcheva has the perfect style to be an anti-Valentina Shevchenko. She has the attributes advantage. Okay, she's bigger than Valentina. She's taller than Valentina. She's longer than Valentina. But I believe she'll be the best striker that Shevchenko will have ever gone up against, okay? Better than Grasso, who, let's be real, her striking is mainly limited to her boxing-heavy style. Grasso doesn't really have good kicks. Natalia Silva will also be a difficult striker for Shevchenko, but not as difficult as a Dakota Ditcheva, okay? Val has never fought a striker in MMA. Maybe in kickboxing or Muay Thai, but it's been a while. But in MMA, she's never fought someone as surgical, as accurate, as precise as Dakota Ditcheva. I think Dakota Ditcheva can take her at range striking, but Dakota Ditcheva has very good pressure as well, which I could see giving Shevchenko a really difficult time. I think Val would have a hard time implementing her counter-striking on Dakota because of how good Dakota's defense and distance management is, because of how long Dakota is. Dakota might just out-counter the counter-striker. And Dakota, she matches the Muay Thai style of Shevchenko, and she's physically stronger, I believe, which could translate a lot to whenever they're in those clinch exchanges. I think she could overpower Valentina in the clinch, hold her against the cage like Manon Fiorot was doing, and Manon was able to land a lot of clean elbows and knees to the body as well. I could imagine Ditcheva doing nasty Muay Thai work on Valentina. The clinch shots that Manon was able to land on Valentina, Dakota will do that, but she'll do that 1,000 times better, and she'll do far more damage to Val. And she could potentially hurt her with shots to the body, okay? No one has ever exploited Shevchenko's body. Dakota could do that, and she could slow Shevchenko down with that nasty body work. She has potential to finish Valentina with strikes, but also beat her on points. In just purely stand-up, I think Valentina would significantly struggle with Dakota Ditcheva. I think the only way she wins this fight or wins dominantly is if she's able to take down Dakota consistently and control her on the ground, exploit Dakota's, maybe lack of ground game. We haven't really seen much of it, but she has very good takedown defense. That's the problem. Okay, I don't think Val will be able to Grasso Dakota Ditcheva. She might be able to take her down, but I don't see her keeping her down. I don't see her comfortably getting takedowns whenever she wants. every single round and like winning multiple rounds because of it, I do think she'd be forced into a striking battle against Dakota Ditcheva. And in just striking with Dakota, Valentina just might lose. And I wouldn't be surprised if Dakota Ditcheva completely dominated Valentina Shevchenko. Like, Dakota might be that one person who could hand Valentina that dominant, humiliating, and humbling loss. Because Grasso wasn't able to do it. Valentina could cope and say, well, I was winning until I got caught in the sub. She was able to say against Amanda Nunes, well, I got robbed. But against Dakota, she might lose in a way where it's like, damn, I got completely shut down and outclassed and had nothing for her, and I got beat up. Like, that really would not surprise me, okay? And I know y'all listening to this video might think, damn, DJ, you're crazy, bro. This is a crazy take. Why are you counting out Val when she has so much experience and she's so good? Look, I know Valentina Shevchenko is a great fighter. I give her a lot of credit. But every dog has its day, and every fighter eventually runs into that stylistical brick wall that they just cannot break through, okay? Every fighter has that. Maybe not every fighter. John Jones didn't have it. Khabib didn't have it. But there are a lot of great fighters who do, and I do think Dakota is that for Val. I do think that Dakota, if she beats Val, it's not going to be a situation where it's like a fluke or Val will come back and win a rematch later. No. Dakota, if she beats her once and they have to fight again, Dakota Ditcheva will beat her again. Okay, unlike Alexa, she has a style that I believe is good enough to beat Valentina more than once, to neutralize the bullet. I see her as the anti-Valentina Shevchenko. Like, Dakota continues to impress me, okay? Whereas Valentina Shevchenko hasn't been looking that impressive in the last few years, okay? Barely beat Taila Santos, squeaked out a split decision after getting out-grappled for multiple rounds, and mainly won because of the headbutt. She lost to Alexa Grasso, and then it took her two more tries to actually get it done. Lost the first time, went to a draw with her the second time, and then won the third fight by just laying and praying on Grasso in a boring-ass fight. And Manenfiro, a close, competitive fight where she struggled with Manenfiro's pressure and clinch work and strength, but Val slightly edged it by just being faster and a better striker. But look, Dakota is not Manenfiro. She's not these girls that Valentina has been in there with, okay? She's not Jessica Ai. She's not Taila Santos. She's not Alexa Grasso, okay? She's not Caitlin Chukagian or Jessica Andrade or Joanna Jędrzejczyk. Dakota she's different, okay? And she had a way better performance against Taila Santos than Val did. Dakota crushed Santos. And no one does that to Santos. What Dakota did to Taila Santos, who I still believe is one of the best women's flyweights in the world, to be able to do that to someone as dangerous and as tough as Santos, that just tells me all I need to know about Dakota Ditcheva. What she did to Taila Santos, that's called sending a message and making a statement, okay? Valentina Shevchenko, like I said, she's showing signs of decline, and Dakota Ditcheva, as the younger fighter, is only going to keep getting better. And if they somehow fight 3 years from now when Dakota's 29 and Valentina's 40, do you think Valentina is going to be in a form where she can take an even better version of Dakota, a Dakota who's better than this Dakota, upgraded Dakota in 3 years' time versus an even more declined Val? What do you think is going to happen? And even right now, with Val slowing down and not being fully in her prime, you got Dakota who hasn't even peaked yet, but continues to improve. I feel like it is a recipe for disaster for Shevchenko. And if they were to fight a year from now in 2026, if Dakota was in the UFC right now and was able to work her way to a title shot, Val would only be older and would only be more declined, and Dakota would be only more improved and ready to beat Val. I think she's ready to do it right now, but the more time passes, I think the more ready Ditcheva will be for someone like Shevchenko. So, yeah, without Dakota in the UFC or with us having to wait 3 years, there's a good chance that Val may get off easy, because I think if she fights Weili, I think she'll win. Like, Weili could win, but I'm not confident in Weili's chances. Natalia could win, but I could see Shevchenko winning that. Like, beating Weili, beating Natalia, and then realizing there's really nothing left, and then riding off into the sunset without having ever faced Ditcheva. That just might happen. But if she had to fight Ditcheva right now or within a year, I don't think she's riding off into the sunset. And when that day comes, when Dakota comes to the UFC, depending on the state of the women's flyweight division, like within a few years from now, if women's flyweight doesn't step up their game, if these flyweights don't improve, if this roster doesn't get better, and it's in the shape it's in right now, with Dakota Ditcheva, you're looking at the next dominant flyweight champion after Valentina. But let me know what you guys think in the comments.